Education Building here in St. Charles County Library District, and we are happy to be presenting the final block. This is block number 12. It's a B block, and the only difficulty is the background, which we can get around, so let me show you how to do that. One of the first attempts that I did was on using these great big hexes, and one of the reasons I did these great big hexes is because I could sew them on the sewing machine. I traced around the block, joined the 2 points and stitched between the point, not off the edge. That's why we get this nice little curl here where it rounds off, but from point to point on your tracing, and you do them all, and then you let them iron the direction that they want to, and it was quick and easy. These are 4-inch hexes. We chose to go down in size to a 2-inch hexie, which is still larger than a typical hexagon English paper piecing, but this is big enough to do on the machine if you want to. I did mine by hand. It took me too long. That doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it, but it took a long time. And if it had been the typical 1-inch hexes, which are half that size, it would have taken me 3 times as long. So we're going to let you choose which style you like. You can either do it on the machine, you can do it by hand, you can do it with a cheater cloth, which I really like. So my mom's getting this because I didn't have to piece any of it, but it looks good. Or you can use a plain background. The emphasis really should be on the B, because the B is the state insect. Surprise, surprise. When we do hexagons like this, the easiest way to do it is to cut out enough pieces to cover your whole 13-inch block, because we're going to start with 13 inches and trim it down to 12.5. The applique of the B is going to make it shrink in just a little bit. So we're going to do 13 inches. When you've got all of these pieces cut out and you cut all of your fabric about 3/8 of an inch bigger on each side, you fold it over and you take a stitch, a double stitch, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 on each edge, and that's going to hold it well enough for you to be able to sew those pieces together by putting the 2 edges together. Do a 3 stitches here, whip stitch 3 stitches here. Then those will be secure and ready for you to move on to adding the next one. Whip stitch by 3 stitches here, crossed 3 stitches here, and then turn it and do this side, 3 stitches across, 3 stitches. There are 2 tutorials in your instructions, so if you're concerned at all, one, Leslie does this all the time. She's done classes for us. She couldn't be here today, but you're welcome to ask her if you need a little bit of help. But try, because they're wonderful, the links that are included in your instruction. There's one for basic paper piecing and one for machine paper piecing. So you can choose the style that it would work best for you. Once you've got your background done, you're going to need to do your B. So 4 strips of 1.5 inch will equal enough for your B. So you sew them together along the long side, iron them to the dark, take your body, and it should fit almost perfectly. If you're a little worried, make these, instead of 1.5, make them 1 3/4. Then you know it's going to be big enough. But a scant 1/4 inch seam is going to work fine for you. You cut out your body, and you're going to applique it however you've chosen. We've given you at least 4 different ways of appliquing. So you choose the one that you enjoy the most. Obviously, this is not going to give you enough edge for a hand-turned or needle-turned applique. So if you want to do that, make these just a little bit bigger so that you've got the seam width on both sides. But this is a finished size so that you can decide what kind of applique you want. When you're finished with that, you've got that smaller piece that you're going to cut out the head. And then you're ready to applique the bee on. And in this case, I've already done that. You can see that the stripes are in place and the head is in place. And I just did a machine applique with the Wonder Under between them. So that was easy for us to just whip down. This one is done the same way, but this one was done with the interfacing, turn it right side out. That's why there's no stitch marks on it. That's just the other kind of applique. Then we can do the wings. I chose to give you bigger blocks than you probably need because I wanted to make sure that you'd be able to get the whole wing on it. On these, you're getting one in each direction. If you look at it, you can see that there's a straight edge and then the rest is kind of curved. I wanted everybody to have that distinction. You can see here that that straight edge I put straight across and appliqued it down with just a zigzag stitch. Here I did a double layer of a transparent fabric, turned it right side out and finished the one opening, and then I hand appliqued it into place so that it would look more translucent and people could see through it. On this one I am attempting, I don't advise it, but I'm attempting a very translucent luminous fabric. It shreds. So if you're going to do something this fine, make sure you've got some fray check, something like that, that will stop those edges from fraying away, and then we can put it on. I'm going to put these on just with a tack so that they're loose and flyable, but the others are appliqued down all the way. And once you've finished it, cut it to 12.5 inches by centering your bee if that's what you want, and you're finished. I chose to applique antennas on these. If you'd like, you could also do a bee trail. It's totally up to you. I did mention it in the instructions so that that's an option that you can do. When you are completely finished with this and you've trimmed it to your 12.5 inches, you're finished. This is the last block that we're going to be doing. So I want to take a minute and talk to you just a little bit. Nobody could have anticipated what this year was going to be like. And we definitely had no idea that this was going to happen when we started planning this project for a year-long project. We are so grateful that we had this in place before the world crumbled. And we are so grateful that you have all jumped on and are willing and happy to be doing this project with us. We have people not just here in the county, not just here in the state, but across the nation and even into Europe who are enjoying this and doing this with us. And we think it's a wonderful way to help us to come together in a community when nobody can really come together. We're so grateful for all of that. We will be trying to do the finishing classes probably by the end of February. We've still got to finish working it out, and between the two of us we keep getting isolated, and so we have to stay home. And so we're trying, but we hope to have those so that you can learn how to do sashing, so you can do borders, so you can sandwich the piece together, quilt it if you want, or at least have it ready for a quilter to use, and then do the finishing edges. We think it's going to be beautiful, and we want everybody to be working on it and preparing the final project, because the library district is going to be able to have the state's Bicentennial quilt in our branches in June. We would like to display as many of your quilts as we can. So please try and get these things done by the 1st of May. That'll give you plenty of time to get it, the edge finished, and we'll be able to display it by the end of June. Thank you so much for all of your help, and we will see you in a few weeks.